You work more hours in 1 week than your ancient ancestors worked in an entire month. Let that land. Somewhere in Africa right now, there are people still living the way every single human being on this planet lived for the first 300,000 years of our existence. They do not own phones. They don't have mortgages. They've never set an alarm. And study after study, researcher after researcher has come back from living among them with the same uncomfortable observation. These people appear to be more at peace than we are. Not richer, not safer, not healthier by every measure, just more at peace. So what is actually happening inside a day of ancient human life? Not the Hollywood version with desperate, starving people fighting off predators. The real version. The daily rhythms that shape the human brain, the human body, and the human soul for nearly the entire span of our species' existence. Let's go through it. Hour by hour. There is no alarm. There is no jolt. Ancient humans woke the way every mammal was designed to wake. Gradually, as the sky shifted from black to deep purple to orange, temperature dropped just before sunrise, and that drop itself was a signal the body recognized. Not a sound, a feeling. The body simply knew. You open your eyes to a camp of roughly 25 to 30 people. Some are already sitting up, poking the embers of the fire that someone kept alive through the night. Your grandmother is 3 arm lengths away. Your children are pressed against your side. The people you see right now are every person in your world, and you have known every single one of them since the day you were born. Everything you own is beside you. A hide, a digging tool, a few personal items. That's it. There is no door to lock, no commute to dread. The day has not made any demands of you yet. For the first hour, almost nothing gets done. And that is not laziness. That is design. Anthropologists who have spent years living among the last remaining hunter-gatherer groups on Earth. People talk. They laugh about last night. They pick up where yesterday's conversation left off. This is not wasted time. This conversation is how the group governs itself. Who is getting along? Who had a conflict? Is anyone sick? Did someone take more than their share? Is a young couple showing interest in each other? Everything the group needs to know gets passed through morning talk. There are no courts, no judges, no councils. The conversation is the system. Researchers have found that ancient humans spent more time in casual social interaction than in almost any other activity. And those conversations weren't just entertainment. They were the operating system of survival. Trust, reputation, obligation, all of it was maintained through talking. Here is the number that should genuinely disturb you. Anthropologist Richard Lee spent years documenting the daily life of the San Bushmen of the Kalahari. When he calculated how many hours they spent on survival-related activities, hunting, gathering, preparing food, making tools, fetching water, the total came to roughly 15 hours a week. 15 hours. That's less than 3 hours a day. Most people today hit that before they've even had lunch. Around mid-morning, the camp splits. The hunters organize. The women gather in groups. Children drift toward the adults they feel closest to, or break into play groups of mixed ages where older children instinctively look after younger ones. The hunters head out, and immediately, it is important to understand this, the odds are against them. Researcher Frank Marlowe, who spent decades living with the Hadza of northern Tanzania, found that on any given day, most hunters come home with nothing. A successful large kill happens maybe once every few days. A hunter might track an animal for hours across open terrain, lose the trail, navigate by scent, follow blood on dry ground, and still come home empty-handed. When they do make a kill, it is not through brute force. The weapon of choice across many ancient hunter-gatherer groups is a small arrow tipped with a poison extracted from certain plants or insects. The hunter shoots. The arrow barely breaks the skin. Then comes the real work, following that animal for hours, sometimes an entire day, while the poison slowly does its job. Patience, not strength, is the hunter's most critical tool. Now, while all of that is happening, all that drama, all that effort, all that uncertainty, the women are quietly doing something more reliable. Among the Hadza, women consistently supply the majority of the group's daily calories. They leave in small groups of 3 to 8, moving through familiar land they've known since childhood, digging up roots and tubers, collecting fruit, finding berries, cracking open baobab pods. They carry children on their backs while they work. They talk while they work. They make decisions about the camp while they work. The walk back to camp is, by many accounts, where the most important conversations happen. And the most productive people out there? Overwhelmingly, the grandmothers. This is one of the most significant discoveries in human evolutionary biology. Women in their 50s and 60s, long past the age of reproduction, were typically the most efficient food gatherers in the group. They knew the land better. They knew the seasons better. They knew where the roots grew deeper after rain. A grandmother in her 60s could still walk 10 miles and return with more food than a mother half her age. Scientists call this the grandmother hypothesis, the idea that older women who couldn't have more children of their own contributed so powerfully to the survival of their grandchildren that long post-reproductive human lifespans became an evolutionary advantage. Humans are the only primate species whose females routinely live decades past menopause. Your grandmother didn't just babysit. She may be the reason you exist at all. When food returns to camp, something happens that is so different from the modern world that it deserves its own explanation. No one claims it. The hunter who made a kill does not eat first. He does not store his portion or negotiate his share. The meat is distributed across the entire camp, with the hunter himself often receiving one of the smaller cuts. If a woman returns with a basket of roots and fruit, it's laid down and divided among whoever needs it. Sharing is not charity in this world. It is law. Anthropologists believe this behavior was not just cultural but deeply adaptive. A hunter who hoards food today may be dead tomorrow, but a camp where everyone eats together creates a web of mutual investment. Everyone is, in a sense, everyone else's insurance policy. The person you feed today may save your life next season. There is a second layer here that's even more remarkable. Tracking who gave what, who received what, who contributed last week and who held back. This requires a level of social memory and calculation that no other animal performs at scale. Many researchers now believe that this constant social accounting was one of the primary forces that drove the expansion of the human brain. Our intelligence may have been built less by the challenges of the physical world and more by the social world we created, a world where your reputation was your most critical survival resource. After eating, the pace drops completely. The middle of the day is hot. Ancient humans did not fight the heat. They surrendered to it. People found shade and lay down. They napped without guilt or schedule. They sat together in the shadow of trees, grooming, repairing tools, weaving, talking in the slow, unhurried way of people who have nowhere to be. This is not laziness. This is the rhythm the human body was designed for. The post-meal rest, the midday stillness. These are not civilizational weaknesses. They are ancestral features. As the heat softens, the camp comes alive again. People visit. One of the distinctive features of hunter-gatherer social life is that camps are not isolated units. A network of related and allied camps might stretch across a wide region, all loosely connected by blood, marriage, shared history, and regular visiting. An adult in one of these groups typically knew over 100 people by name and personal history. Think about what that means. In a world without writing, without records, your entire social web existed purely in human memory. Names, faces, debts, gifts, conflicts, alliances, all of it held in the minds of 30 people who collectively maintained the archive of their community. By late afternoon, hunters return. The women who have been gathering all day become the quiet anchors of the meal on the days, which is most days, when the hunters come home without a kill. Nobody says this out loud. It doesn't need to be said. Everyone already knows. Cooking begins. Methods vary by group and geography, but fire is universal, the oldest human technology. Older than any tool, older than any weapon, older than language itself by some accounts. Roots are placed in coals. Meat is prepared. Children begin to drift back toward the center of camp, drawn by the smell, by the sound of voices, by the safety of gathered adults. As the sun descends, the whole camp converges. And here is where something extraordinary happens. Something that has happened every single evening for the entire lifespan of our species. The fire is built up, everyone sits, and the stories begin. Researcher Polly Wiesner analyzed conversations among the San Bushmen across both daytime and nighttime hours. During the day, most talk was practical, food, logistics, the immediate concerns of survival. But at night, around the fire, something shifted. Nearly 80% of nighttime conversation was storytelling, not plans, not complaints, not negotiations, stories, tales of hunts that happened years ago. The time the river flooded and the camp had to move, a legendary elder who outsmarted a rival group, a love affair that ended badly and became a kind of warning, a joke so perfectly built that it still made people laugh 3 years after they first heard it. Wiesner argues that this nightly storytelling tradition was the mechanism through which ancient humans transmitted values, cultural norms, history, and identity across generations without a single written word. The fire was the classroom, the elder was the teacher, and the story was the textbook. Before you sleep, you know who you are, where you come from, what your people believe, and what kind of person you are supposed to become. Not from a book, from a voice, from a fire, from the faces of people who love you lit orange in the dark. This happened every night for 300,000 years, and most of us can't remember the last time we sat in a room with people we love and told stories until we ran out of them. If you've made it this far, you already understand something that most people never stop to examine: the life we are living right now. The schedules, the stress, the constant noise. This is a very recent invention. For the overwhelming majority of human history, a day looked nothing like yours does. And the bodies sitting in your office, on your commute, behind your screen, they are still running the same software as the person sitting by that fire. Same stress responses. Same need for sunlight and stillness. Same hunger for genuine connection. Same craving for story. We traded a lot to build this world. Medicine, safety, longer lives, fewer children dying, real undeniable gains that nobody sane would give back. But we also traded something we barely noticed we were losing. If this kind of deep look into who humans actually are moves something in you, this channel is going to keep doing exactly this. Ancient lives, real evidence. The parts of human history that textbooks skip because they're too ordinary to make headlines but too important to ignore. Subscribe. Turn on notifications, because the next video goes even deeper, and once you understand how ancient humans thought about death, time, and identity, you will never look at your own life the same way again. Somewhere in northern Tanzania tonight, a fire is burning. People are gathered around it. An elder is speaking. Children are falling asleep in their mothers' laps, their small bodies rising and falling with the breath of the ancient world. They do not know about the stock market. They do not know what a deadline feels like. They have never experienced the particular exhaustion of spending a day doing work you don't believe in. But they know every person sitting beside them. They know where the stars will be at midnight. They know what the land looks like after rain. And when the stories start, everyone gets quiet. Because this, the fire, the faces, the voice carrying across the dark, this is the oldest thing about us. This is what we were before we forgot.